Good morning, this is Jim, 5714 Collector, bringing you another video on Sunday morning. This is going to be part 3 of showing the 1972 Topps baseball card set. I'm going to start with card number 31 and we're going to go up through card number 48. There's a lot of in-action cards in this grouping, but you know what? We're going to have some fun with those. I'll show all the cards. I got a little bit of notes written down here on the side here for some tidbits and all that. And this is going to be card number 31. We're going to start with Cleon Jones, shown here with the New York Mets. And that's a pretty good looking card. That's pretty awesome. So Cleon Jones, of course, he played with the Miracle Mets in 1969. I found out by reading baseballreference.com that he caught the final out of Game 5 when they clinched the World Series against my Baltimore Orioles. So a little bit of extra information about Mr. Jones. In Game 5 of that World Series against the Orioles, there was a controversial hit by pitch, and Mr. Jones was hit by a pitch. The ball went into the dugout. The initial call was I think they called it a dead ball or something like that. But Gil Hodges brought the ball out, showed a smudge, a black smudge on the ball, and the umpire awarded him first base. He later scored on a home run to make the game 3-2. They eventually won the game later on that afternoon. And but that pretty cool. I remember that play barely because I was 10 years old when that World Series was being played. But if you go check out Baseball Reference, you'll see that reference on there. Also, he finished third in the National League batting race that year when he hit 340. So had a great year. Also, he had a total of 1,196 Major League base hits. So very good career for Mr. Jones. And here's his in-action card. So that's pretty cool. And as everybody knows, this set has 787 cards. So it's going to take a little bit of time for us to get through this. But we're going to have some fun showing some cards. And I'm going to show every single one of them as we go through. So since I got the complete set. And here's the Billy Martin card. This is controversial in its own right. I will not go into the details. If you are a seasoned collector, you know what I'm talking about without me going into the details. Billy Martin, successful Major League Baseball player with the New York Yankees, especially with the Yankees, and also a Major League manager with several teams. Let me just show the back of that real quick, too. This is when he was with Detroit. So he was a 4-time World Series winner. So that's pretty cool. He's on 4 Yankee teams that won the World Series. He's a 1-time All-Star. Also managed the 77 World Series champion New York Yankees. So he had a good career and all that. He's also manager of the Yankees during the infamous pine tar incident with George Brett. And if you ever get some time, go check out that on YouTube. That's the play with George Brett hit a home run, and Martin came out of the dugout. They brought a measuring stick or whatever they were using at the time, and he measured the bat and where the pine tar was on the bat, and it was higher than it was supposed to be. So that home run was nullified. George Brett comes storming out of the dugout. It was a pretty interesting play. Anyway, that home run was restored and all that, and the game was replayed and picked up and all that. But when you get some time, go to Baseball Reference, check out Billy Martin's webpage, check it out on YouTube with Billy Martin and the famous pine tar game from 1983 with George Brett. Very cool stuff. So when you guys get some time, check that out. There's Billy Martin's in action. And Billy Martin was a very, very fiery player and manager too. Had a lot of controversial run-ins with George Steinbrenner. He had run-ins with his pitcher, Dave Boswell, at a bar in 1969, latter part of 69. So all this is in Baseball Reference. So Billy Martin's in action, and there's the back. So I think that's pretty cool. It's a lot of fun when you go back and read about some of these lesser-known players and all that. But the more known players, okay, I know that about them, I know about this. But when you get into the guys that you don't read about that often, that had, they've had good careers, you get a lot of cool tidbits sometimes. So, number 35, Jerry Johnson, here with the Giants. And let me show the back of the card. And then we'll talk about Jerry Johnson a little bit. So He pitched in 10 major league seasons. His best year was in 1971 with the San Francisco Giants. He won 12 games, and he saved 18, and he finished sixth in the Cy Young Award voting. I did not know that, so that's a pretty cool tidbit. He won the first game in history for the Toronto Blue Jays in 1977. So he won that in relief of Bill Singer. So here is Mr. Johnson's. See if I can get the card here. Here's his in-action card. So that's pretty cool. And just show the back. Just shows upcoming cards in the next series. So that's pretty awesome. So now we get to, if I remember right, we're on our very first Hall of Famer. And we'll start off by showing the card. It's Carl Yastrzemski of the Boston Red Sox, who played 23 major league seasons with the team. Over 3,000 hits, over 400 home runs. You know, you could go on about this guy, but I wrote down some stuff. Probably most of you guys already know this, but we'll put it in there anyway. We all know he's a Hall of Fame person. He made the Hall of Fame his first year at eligibility. Triple Crown winner in 1967. We know that. Also won the MVP that year. 18-time All-Star. 7-time Gold Glove winner. 3,419 hits and 452 career home runs. 3-time batting champion. So pretty cool. He signed with Boston in November 1958 for $108,000. So pretty cool stuff. And of course, let me show us in action, and then we'll talk about one more thing. His grandson, of course, is a major league player too. Plays with the Giants. Signed by my hometown Baltimore Orioles. So that's pretty cool too. So Mike Yastrzemski. I should have grabbed one of his cards out and shown it too, but I didn't. So I apologize for that. But Carl Yastrzemski, our first Hall of Famer in the 72 top set. So card number 39, Bob Barton. Here with San Diego. I'll show the back. He played 10 years in the majors according to my notes. And also in 1971, he played in a career high 121 games, and he had 17 doubles and 5 home runs that season. So pretty cool. Here's his in-action card. I'm not sure how much of an in-action card it is, but still, it's kind of cool. And again, I'm a big fan of the 72 set. I just love these cards. So we will show card number 41, which is Tommy Davis, here with Oakland. And of course, Tommy Davis had a long career, played with the Orioles. He was DH with the Orioles in the 70s, mid-70s, 2-time batting champion. We talked about Tommy Davis a little bit in the Kellogg set. But here we are showing his 72 Topps card. And that's pretty cool. So I just wrote down again, he was a 2-time batting champion. I believe that was 1962 and 1963. So I'm in, or it was 63 and 64, but I'm right there in the ballpark. 2,121 base hits. And in 1962, he hit 346 and led the league with 230 hits and 153 RBIs. So pretty cool. There's Tommy's card. He had a severely broken ankle, I think, in 1965, and really was never the same player after that, sliding into second base. So I'll tell you one thing, some of these poor guys, they take some injuries, and they really never recover. And it's just a darn shame because, you know, great ball players. So there's Tommy Davis's in-action card. And the next one's a cool one, too. And I don't know the last time you guys have seen Rick Wise's card or talked about Rick Wise. But his claim to fame is kind of cool. He was traded even up to Steve Carlton after the 1971 season. And Rick Wise was a good player in his own right. He won 188 major league games, and he lost 181. And a couple other little tidbits I found out. Let's see. He played in the 1958 Little League World Series. Okay, he won his career high of 19 games with the Red Sox in 1975. And on June 23rd, 1971, he pitched a no-hitter and hit 2 home runs. In that game, he's the first pitcher to ever homer in the game while throwing a no-hitter. So that's pretty cool. And here's Rick's in-action card. That's a cool-looking picture now. That's pretty awesome. But he had a long career. He played 18 years or so, Rick Wise did. And I can remember, watching him pitch on TV and all that. And just think he was traded even up for Steve Carlton, from the Cardinals to the Phillies and all that. So, yeah. And, of course, Carlton went on to a Hall of Fame career with the Phillies and all that. And don't forget, Carlton had some great years with the Cardinals before he got traded. But I know they said that Carlton was not easy to deal with when contract negotiation time came up. But Carlton deserved every penny he got, considering how great of a player he really was. And one thing about Steve Carlton, not to take away from Rick Wise, but Steve Carlton was awesome. Let's just say it that way. So, so we got a couple more here. This goes pretty quick and all that, but it's certainly fun and all that. So here's number 45. That's Glenn Beckert. Mainly played, of course, for the Cubs. Second baseman, and a really good second baseman for the Cubs, too. Here's the back of his card. And he had one great year, too, and I got it written down. One thing, he was a 4-time All-Star. He won 1 Gold Glove. He hit 283 lifetimes, so pretty good. And back in that time frame, when those guys were hitting in the 280, 290, 300 mark, remember how good the pitchers were. The pitching mound up until through the 1968 season was at 15 inches. They dropped it to 10 for the 1969 season because the batting averages dropped so much. And if you remember correctly, in 1968, Carl Yastrzemski won the American League batting title with a batting average of 301, and he was the only player in the American League to hit over 300. So that tells you how low the averages were going. Glenn Beckert also hit a career high of 342 in 1971. So here's his in-action card here. Again, pretty cool looking card. I can't. You know what? I'm enjoying doing this because I got the cards out. I get them out of the album. I put them in sleeves so I can do some research on them. I go upstairs and I go on baseballreference.com and do all my research, write down information. And honestly, I'm having a good time. So I'm enjoying doing this series for you guys. And I'm learning a little bit myself about some of the more obscure players that not everybody knows about. So here's John Ellis here with the New York Yankees. And I showed the back of his card. So that's pretty awesome. And we'll show his in-action card in a second. He played 13 Major League Baseball seasons. He was a starting catcher with Cleveland for the 1973 and 74 Indians. And in 1973, he hit a career high of 14 home runs and had 68 runs batted in. So nice season for John Ellis. And here's his, I just noticed it's got a little mark on the top. Here's his in-action card. That's pretty cool. And I need to figure out I can't tell who that is. Maybe Harmon Killebrew. I'll have to go look that up. But there's the back. We'll show it that way. So, but I hope to check this out and see who the first baseman is. So that's pretty cool. So that's what I've got for you this morning. So we are up through card number 48 and showing the 72 Topps baseball set. We will continue to do the series. We'll do it every Sunday. And I hope everybody is enjoying it because I'm certainly having fun writing all the notes down and going through the cards. And I think Willie Mays is coming up. He's number card 49 and 50, I believe. So I think we'll be hitting Mr. Mays for next Sunday. So that'll be fun. Of course, Willie Mays, I probably don't have to say a lot about him, but I still go into Baseball Reference to see if I can find some tidbits about Willie and all that. So anyway, hope everybody is enjoying the series. If you are, please give me a thumbs up and leave a comment, and we'll continue with it next week. You guys have a great day and take care. Bye-bye.